Hello, this is Digital Accessibility, the people behind the progress. I'm Joe Walensky, the creator and host of this series. And as an accessibility professional myself, I find it very interesting as to how others have found their way into this profession. So let's meet one of those people right now and hear about their journey. All right, well, here we go with another episode where I have the interesting activity of talking with an accessibility practitioner. And today I am talking with Betty Troy. Hello, Betty. How are you doing today?
Hi, Joe. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Well, I am talking from my home office on Vashon Island, which is near Blink's Seattle-based headquarters. Where are you talking to us from?
I'm talking to you from the San Francisco Bay Area, and probably the biggest city that most people would know that I'm near is San Jose. And that's where our Yahoo, one of our Yahoo offices is.
Okay, great. Well, it's great to be able to have this opportunity to chat with you. And I know a little bit about your background, but a good place to start is, always with you just telling us a little bit about the work that you're currently involved in.
Yeah, I'm at Yahoo right now as an accessibility specialist. And what I'm focusing on a lot right now is doing user studies and understanding the users, and doing just getting to know how users use our products and where some issues are, and providing the feedback back to our teams. So that's mainly what I'm focusing on, and measuring the accessibility of our products. So, and also I'm doing some internal mentoring, which is something that I'm really excited about and passionate about, to help spark interest in accessibility in small bites. And that's something I'm very passionate about right now.
All right. Well, great. Well, I definitely want to learn a little bit more about the things that you're doing at Yahoo, and also a little bit more about the mentoring program, because this program is all about helping others find their way into career in accessibility. But one of the things that I also like to do is find out how people made their way to where they are today. And you have a lot of interesting things in your background. Let's go back in time a little bit. Maybe you could let me know when you first started being aware of accessibility and started moving toward that as a career point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it goes back to my childhood when I was a kid, and I was a kid who just loved to find solutions. And for example, there was a time when my brothers and cousins and I decided to have an overalls party. And what is an overalls party? It's when everybody wears overalls and gets together and has fun. Well, there were 6 of us, and 5 of us had overalls, but my little brother didn't have overalls. So that didn't make me feel so good. So I thought about what I could do. So I came up with this design that my mom actually had some scrap denim fabric around, and he had a pair of jeans. So I thought I'd come up with something that could be like overalls for him. So I came up with this design that had a rectangular piece in the front, and it had a waistband and straps that came up from the back and fastened to the front. And inside the waistband had these belt loops in them. So he would wear a regular belt and his jeans and weave the belt through the loops in his jeans and the loops inside the waistband of this makeshift overalls top. So when he put it on, it looked like a pair of overalls. So we were all able to have overalls and have our overalls party and had fun. So, and I was also a kid who loved to read about physiology and health and was totally just fascinated about science and the human body. And I would ask my dad to like subscribe to things like the Berkeley Health Newsletter and a Harvard Health Newsletter. And while my classmates were probably reading about romance novels and stuff, I was reading about science. So I decided to go to engineering school, and I wanted something with the human body in it too. And at that time, there weren't too many places that offered biomedical engineering. So I made my own engineering major and combined physiology, biology, neurophysiology in with my engineering classes. And so I decided to go to grad school, and there were biomedical engineering programs in grad school. So in grad school, though, I took this really interesting course on assistive technology. And it was taught by an engineer and an occupational therapist. And I thought this was just an amazing course because I was just totally absorbing everything from the course. It's like those times when you're absorbing everything and you hardly take any notes. So I was just really enjoying this course. And there was a project that we had to do. And my project was to create a lap tray for women who had cerebral palsy who used an electric wheelchair. And this was a really amazing project for me because we got to go to the center where she spent her day and got to see her in her environment, talk to the people who worked with her, looked at her wheelchair and saw how what kind of parameters the design needed to follow. So I created a problem definition and ideated upon that, iterated on prototypes, and then came up with the design. But the golden moment was when the lap tray was placed on her wheelchair, and she couldn't speak, but she was making all these happy sounds and waving her arms around. And that was the moment when I knew I could use my skills to help people do what they need and want to do. So I decided to go into rehabilitation engineering and specialize in that, and created many more of these kind of user-centered designs. And I took a year off from my grad school program and did this assistive technology program in rehabilitation engineering in San Francisco, and which focused very deeply on assistive technology and various types of disabilities. And during that time, I was also an intern at the Children's Hospital at Stanford Rehabilitation Engineering Center. And I rotated through 3 different areas, augmentative communication, prosthetics and orthotics, and seating and positioning, and learned a lot of things, got to see a lot of different cases. And during that time, I also entered a student design contest at RESNA, the Rehabilitation Engineering and Assistive Technology Society of North America. And it was a power soccer guard design, and I actually won. So with a project partner, we created this power soccer guard for power soccer players, which I don't know if you've ever seen power soccer being played, but they basically have this big, huge, like a big yoga ball, and they propel their wheelchairs and compete in an indoor gym. And we made this guard that helped them not get so many injuries or damage to their wheelchair. So after that,
Yeah,
I
if I could, can I just jump in for a sec? Yeah,
yeah.
I just wanted to catch up where we're at so far. And so, up until this point, it seems like you had found just a really natural path where everything seemed to link up one after another through the university setting and academia. At this point, were you thinking that your career was going to continue more in an academic way, or were you already starting to think that you might be moving into non-academic other parts of your career?
At this point, I wasn't quite sure yet. I was open to anything that would be coming in my path. The next thing that would be coming. So I I went back to grad school after that and finished my master's and did my master's thesis on ergonomics and manual wheelchair users in the office environment. And then from there, I ended up at the VA in Palo Alto and was a biomedical engineer there. So that we worked a lot with Stanford, so it was kind of more academia and lots of research. So we did a lot of work with the professors and the clinicians at Stanford, and I got to work with some amazing people. When I was at the VA, I was a biomedical engineer in the human machine integration section, and worked the main project. I did a lot of things there, but the main project that I worked on was the wearable accelerometric motion analysis system, which was a wearable system that used accelerometry to look at the motion signatures of people, particularly in the area where people might be fall prone. This was to be designed ultimately as a fall prevention aid. So the idea was that these people would wear this device, and for if they were fall prone, and they'd be trained to fall safely or to fall with minimizing the injuries that they might sustain if they have a fall. And so this device would be able to detect that, and then it would send out a signal or a voice or something to let them know that they might be falling, and so they would be prepared to fall.
Was the idea with these projects that these things would then be put in a form to be manufactured so that they'd be available to people to support those physical challenges?
Yeah, they were. We would develop them, and then a company it would be licensed to a company eventually. So yeah, that was the goal, to have it licensed after we develop it.
And then when did things start to pivot and move to where you were working in private industry?
Well, what happened was I took a break to raise my family, and then during that time, I wrote a blog. And to write my blog, I created my own website. And then when I was creating my own website, I realized, oh, this is kind of fun. So I learned HTML and CSS, and then dabbled in web design for a little bit. While I was doing that, I discovered the UX field, and realized, well, that is very similar. That has a lot of similarities to what I used to do in user-centered design. And so I dabbled in that a little bit. And while I was in that field, I learned about the digital accessibility field. And I was amazed with that, because it combined so many things that I had been passionate about for a very long time. And so it had this, and my new interest in web design. So it combined the human-centered design and accessibility and web design. So I totally dove right in, talked to everyone that I could who would talk to me, and read anything, attended webinars, and there were some wonderful people who were willing to help me too, and talk to me. And this is an amazing field. There's so many people who are really wonderful. Some really great people helped me and talked to me. And I also got my CPACC certification. And then I landed at Applause, and was an auditor there, an accessibility auditor, which was an amazing place to learn too, and to really build my skills fast. Because there was some really great experts and auditors, my fellow auditors, and I worked on 80 different projects there. And I mean, not projects, products, products. And I got to see a whole lot of things. I mean, these were products that we exercise on, we watch on TV, talk show hosts, websites, and fast food apps, and medical things that we invest with, and lots of department stores, and lots of different types of products I got to see in a very short time. And with the guidance of experts and fellow auditors too. So I learned very quickly there. I got to see a lot of things. And then now I'm very excited. I'm at Yahoo.
And so what's that like? So what's a day in the life or a week in the life working as an accessibility practitioner at Yahoo?
Oh, I love it. I love my job at Yahoo. I spend some time with the product teams when they have questions on accessibility, and help them with any questions that they have. I also do a lot of user studies to understand the users, and how they use our products, and what kind of issues that they have. And I also do a little bit of mentoring of some of our product team members. And I just love working with the people at Yahoo, and I feel completely supported in accessibility. There is no resistance to it. I feel anybody that approaches us, or we approach them with something, there's complete acceptance of the accessibility team there. So, and anything that we incorporate into the products.
Yeah, it's great to hear. And so kind of looking forward, are there any things either at Yahoo that you're excited about looking in the future, or more generally, things within the accessibility profession, things that you're hoping will develop? Have any kind of thoughts looking ahead into the future?
Yeah, well, what I hope to see is everything will be integrated. What I hope is that, there is some resistance in the field right now, and there is sort of, we're kind of getting used to this. There's a lot more awareness now because of the pandemic, I think, for digital accessibility. Um, but it's more, I hope that there is more of a feeling of us. Um, according to the CDC, there's 26% of us have, or adults in the US have disability at a time. Or so it's not like people with disabilities are in one part of the world or one part of the US. We're all integrated. Everybody is, mixed together, and it's us that have disabilities, and uh, at some point we're going to have disabilities, most likely when we age, and it's really us, and we create everything that we use. Really, it's created by us, and everything we create can be considered as a prototype, and we can decide what to do with what we create and what we go forward with the next prototype. So I hope that we will integrate more, you know, people with disabilities, different abilities, and listen and incorporate that into our designs. So that's what I hope to see in the future. And I think we'll get there, at some point we'll get there. The awareness is starting to get out there, and we're working toward it. I mean, it's a big job, and we've had to start somewhere, but we'll get there.
Well, I think that's a great place for us to end this conversation. Betty, thank you so much for telling us about your background and in the wide range of things that you've been involved in, and look forward to hopefully meeting you in the physical world at some point at a conference or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Joe. Bye.